last video, I touched on how creation is finished, and I've also previously mentioned how we are, in essence, pieces of Source, individualized pieces of Source that is within each and every single human being on the planet. We can also choose what or who we are identifying with or as. And more importantly, one of the biggest things of this knowledge is that if we do not like our current circumstances, whatever they are, we can absolutely change them. But the way that we change them is not by continuing to focus on the things that we see that we do not like. We have to take our awareness. That's our power. We have to take our awareness off of the circumstances and put the awareness, instead on what it is that we do want. And we do that in our mind, in our imagination. I said in the last video that the imagination is essentially a divine playground, and that is very true. But when you consistently think the same thoughts repeatedly over and over and over again, to the point that it becomes a habit, it's very, very easy to see exactly how it is that we fall into certain circumstances almost without even intending to. This has a lot to do with our prior conditioning, our upbringing, what it is that we were taught to believe in when we were young. The good news is that as a conscious adult, you no longer have to consent to those beliefs, those former beliefs, as being your truth. I certainly don't anymore. And what I found instead was freedom. Is my life perfect? No. But is it over 1,000% better? And do I feel much better than I used to? Absolutely. Which is why I'm here talking about this, because I feel that this information is something that everyone should know. And I also understand that some people may not resonate with larger channels or people who have been in this community talking about this for years. And maybe some people will find that they like listening to me. So different folks, different strokes, I guess. If your circumstances are not what you would prefer to experience, the easiest way to change the circumstance is to begin shifting your awareness in your mind with your imagination to what it is that you would want to experience. Now, I'll be honest with you. At this point in time, the ego, your ego, is going to pop up because it sees danger. It doesn't want to change. Your ego wants you to stay in the same place because its job is to protect you and also protect itself. It's out for its own survival. The ego loves homeostasis, which is the same thing over and over again. And so any type of change that you try to introduce, the ego is going to feel threatened. And that's where the old programs start coming up in your mind, listing out the different reasons as to why you are unable to do what it is that you want to do. It will give you very good reasons. You will often hear things that you have heard before from possibly even other people in their own voices, repeating what you grew up hearing, in essence, which is all of the reasons why you're not able to do it, you can't do it, you're not any special, who do you think you are, all of this nonsense. And I'm here to tell you that ego is always going to be a part of this journey, so make your peace with that. But also, when you step into another version of yourself, into another identity, you're going to have an ego that is associated with that identity too, which is why I'm saying just make peace with the fact that there is no getting rid of ego and its backlash, so to speak. What I like to do personally is I like to quiet that aspect of my mind, that ego, by just saying, hey, it's not a big deal. We're just imagining, right? So it's just imagining. That's all I'm doing. Oh, but I'm just imagining. Nope. I'm just imagining. And then as soon as I start to think about the things that I want, and I start to quiet my ego by repeatedly reminding it that there's no threat here. All we're doing is imagining. It's okay. It's fine. It starts to really go very quiet, if not altogether silent. And so when I reach that level, that is when I like going into my imagination and I start thinking about what I would feel like, what would it be like if I had one of my desires or all of my desires. And they change over time. The desires that I have now are not the same desires that I had even 6 months ago. So that all depends on you, on me, on any individual. You're allowed to shift them around, change them around. You're allowed to change your mind. I've seen that a lot of the people in this community, especially the very big focus is a specific person in terms of romantic partners. And sometimes people will wonder, well, what if I change my mind? What if I no longer want the same person that I did? What does that mean? And it doesn't mean anything. It means whatever you say that it means. Because remember, you're the source. You are the cause in your own reality bubble. And so it's whatever you say goes. So there's never any need to feel bad or ashamed or guilty or any of that nonsense, because we're allowed to change our minds, and it's all part of our growth, and it's all part of the journey. So once I get my ego quiet, I start to wonder what it would be like, what my life, a day in my life would feel like if I had this particular desire, for example. And I start to associate positive feelings with that. The things that make me feel good, things like joy, happiness, gratitude, and relief. Notice how none of these emotions, they're not needy, they're not anxious, there's no stress there. It's just a complete and total state of calm bliss. You don't need to do this all day, every day, but the more often that you can return to those emotions and start associating what your life would feel like if you had that, despite ego coming up reminding you, who do you think you are? Who, you can't have that, or you can't do that. There's no way. You don't have the qualifications, for example, or you don't have the looks, and this person has a type and you're not their type, whatever the case may be. That's irrelevant. I'm here to tell you that is absolutely 100% irrelevant. That doesn't matter. The circumstance does not matter, because you, as source, are the one deciding. And the minute that you decide that you want something, in that moment, accept it as true. Accept that it is yours. And the world is going to move around, the pieces will move around, and I don't care if it takes 30 minutes, and I don't care if it takes 30 days, or heaven forbid, 30 months. I know a lot of you are very young. You can't even picture, to you, 30 months sounds like an eternity. But I promise you, as someone who's been around the block several times, that's nothing. It really is nothing. Everything will move and rearrange itself to bring you exactly what it is that you want. And you will look back and be able to reverse engineer how it was that you got there. And it's pretty amazing when you're able to do that, because that, in particular, doing that exercise myself personally, was what helped me really begin to grasp how this law works and how perfect and amazingly beautiful it is. That's all that I have for you for now. I will catch you again at a later day and time. And never forget who you are.